Boys and girls, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome back to, in fact, the best day of the week here at High Top Sports. It feels good to see you. I got to be honest with you. I know I saw you just 2 days ago. There's something special about Wednesday. It just gets you fired up. You got to go through the day. You have your ups and downs through the week, and always got Wednesday to get rowdy about. I'm super excited about it. The last few weeks have been a blur. It's been going by 1,000 miles a minute with March Madness. We had baseball yesterday. We're going to talk about that. But I love it. I'm all here for it, boys and girls. Smash the like button, subscribe. Shout out to Rocket Money and FOCO. We talk about that later on in the show for sponsoring today's show. But we got a good one. We've got a basketball guru joining us to talk about the big matchup tomorrow against Maryland. 7:36 tip-off or 7:39 tip-off time, I believe. We'll be live streaming that. As we've learned, it's a good luck charm for the Gators. Sunday, we weren't live streaming. We know we all had a little bit of heart complications, okay? We're going to be talking about spring practice because we're back in order. We're back rocking and rolling on that. Paul Finebaum, I guess, needed to pay some bills, needed to get some clicks. We're going to talk about that as well because that's what we do around here. And then, of course, we got a big spring game coming up. People are asking for deets, questions, all the good stuff. Before we do any of that, though, ladies and gentlemen, Dave Solderquist joins us. Big guy. How you doing, fella?
Man, I felt like the UConn head coach on Monday when I woke up, but then 2 days later, it just feels like Friday. I know I said it last week. I said Friday because Wednesdays feel like Friday when it's the best day of the week. And, I may not be Paul Finebaum. I'm the Swoldermeister, and it's Wednesday. Let's get it. Let's go.
I thought you were going to say, I may not be Paul Finebaum, but I'm fine. Mom. I don't know where you're going to go, but it felt right.
Fine and your mama.
Boys and girls, good to see you, like we said. Look, let's get a few things off before we get rock and rolling. I went to the baseball game yesterday. Saw some people who watched the show. Did a cool little, like we did last time, little trivia / kind of like interview thing. It's a short little video. I'll post it probably tomorrow morning. Just kind of cool interaction with some of the fans. But man, I got to tell you, boys, what a time! Look, I know we're pissed that we lost. I'm a romantic when it comes to baseball. Baseball is my first love. I love that sport. I just love sitting there, nice summer, cool breeze, hanging out, smashing a burger or a hot dog, corn dog, drinking a brewski, just hanging out. It's very chill. I love that atmosphere. So it's hard for me to have a bad day at a baseball park. All right. So went with Stephen Hawley, with another buddy Gator fan. So it's us three. We, for whatever reason, my buddy who bought tickets, he's a Gator, but we were surrounded by FSU fans. My sweet spot. Like, I mean, I love it. Okay, no matter what happens, I love, just put me in the shark pool. All right, I'm about it. So as you know, the game, we were losing the whole time, and we had very little to cheer about. We had one hit going, I think, into the 8th inning. So we stood up one time. I think we cheered for when we stole around the bases, got our one run. But we were very quiet. I heard the tomahawk chop all night long. They were chirping, as they should. I love it. I eat it up. Like, get after it. Get after it. Well, we know how the 9th inning went. All right. We're down 3-1, or 3-2, excuse me. And we tie it up. We're going nuts. I'm going nuts when we tie it up. I'm screaming. I'm hollering. FSU fans are quiet. They're in shambles. We take the lead. I blow the lid off that thing. I'm doing the tomahawk chop. I'm screaming at people to stand up. I got one guy yelling at me. I go, "You dye your beard." I got some old lady yelling at me to sit down. It was fantastic. I was respectful. It was a good healthy chirping. I believe that it was. Some people didn't appreciate it. It is what it is. It was a good time. Boy, oh boy, though. How quickly does the tides turn? Boy, when it was just me standing up on that chair dude, no joke. It was like me and my buddy, and then everyone else FSU. So when I was standing, you saw me. Like I was standing out like a sore thumb. I had the high top gear on. And when them boys hit the walk-off, which was awesome. Like, it sucked being on the opposing side, but that kid hit his cycle on the grand slam. I called it from the first at bat. I was like, this kid is an absolute unit. He just looked like a ball player. I was like, this kid's good. Sure enough, goes for the cycle with a walk-off grand slam. I was dabbing all of them up. I was like, yo, that's incredible. I was like, good game. Some of them thought they were waiting for me. They were more excited to see me. Wait for me at the top of the staircase. And as they should.
You didn't have anybody waiting out on you in the parking lot, did you?
No, not the parking lot, but definitely at the stairs. I had everyone chirping me on the way up. They were okay. They said, "Hey, bro, we want to hate you, but we love your hat." So that was cool. They were very cool. I mean, I was laughing. I was like, that was awesome. Like, You can't script it any better than that. And look, they've had a rough season. So, you know,
Yeah,
cool.
you know what's funny though? People don't know how to have good, clean sports smack talk. Like they
Yeah.
can't. They got to get personal. They got to get so mad. Just get clean smack talk, man.
Yeah.
Like that brings the jokes, that brings the laughter out, and it just. I love good, clean sports smack talk.
It's healthy. I look, not everybody understands it or gets it, and I get that. But I was like, guys, we're not playing the game. So I'm gonna get loud. Was I obnoxious? Duh. But at the same time, like I invite it too. Like I'm okay if you do it. Like my feelings aren't hurt. Like this isn't personal. Like the guys behind us, we broed up with for the entire game. All FSU guys. Because I have one guy, he was at Auburn, but he was cheering for FSU. Bro, great guys, great group of guys. It was a blast talking to them. If I had to do it, if I did it again, knowing the outcome, I would do it again. I would have been louder. I would have been much louder if I knew that was my last opportunity. Six Gator Nation says you were sitting below us. Let's go, baby.
Yeah, there you go. See
I don't know if I
that
saw you. I don't know if we dabbed up.
out.
There's a very few Gator fans kind of sprattered around. I was reaching. I was trying to get some love when I could and when I can. So it was good stuff, man. It was great. I'm glad we got to go. I love that game. I love the atmosphere because you're getting two just obviously great, just a great rivalry, but in a nice mixture. It's not too lopsided, right? So yeah, pitching's been bad, boys. I don't know what's going on. And look, we want to complain about pitching, but we couldn't hit the broadside of a barn yesterday either. I mean, we had one hit going into the eighth inning, so it was like we were whacking the sticks anyway either. But yeah, pitching was atrocious, and Sully didn't seem to really care about it either because he didn't have any warming up. But that's besides the point. But it was fun. It was a good time.
I feel like so I don't obviously I don't watch baseball as religiously as a lot of people in here, but I feel like for the past like couple years the pitching's been like very atrocious
Sus.
and what it like yeah it's been
Been
very
carried by a
sus.
couple
So
of guys. Yeah.
yeah, and you've had hitters like crazy the past 2 years, so you've been able to make up for it. It seems like this year, I mean, the kids are a lot younger coming in and all that, so you need obviously some advancement in the pitching, and you're just not getting that. And this is why you're getting kind of the results. And I don't think they've won an SEC game yet, have they?
I think they've won two. I think they're 2-8.
Okay, two.
Maybe. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah,
Maybe I'm
it's
wrong.
wild. It's wild to see them like a solely coach team. It's wild to see them like this way. But I know it's still the beginning of the season. Obviously, you got plenty of games to go. But man, looking rough. Roof.
Yeah, look, base for me, being a Braves fan, the biggest thing struggles they've had has always been pitching. In the year they went on to win the World Series, the
Yeah,
look, they had a lot of big aha moments with Jock Peterson coming in and the Soler and those additions, but it was the incredible bullpen, and they had a healthy starting lineup at pitching. And even now, like last few years, they've won the most 2 years ago. They won the most 115 games, bopped in the first round. Last year, we grind our way in, make our way in, but the pitching's been a struggle there. Like that's what wins championships at the end of the day. Because when you really get down to the nitty gritty, all these cats can hit a baseball bat, and it's like basketball. Bats get hot and cold. Arms are what stay consistent and can allow you to allow for it to withstand the ups and downs of the bat. But if you ain't got arms, I don't care how hot your bats get. It don't mean nothing because again, that other team eventually is going to hit a hot spot. It all just depends on when they rock and roll. Dan Schwabe says, "Nice to meet you yesterday. I was the dude on the scooter leaving the home plate gate." Oh yeah, what's up? Yeah, I was like, oh okay, yeah, good stuff, man. He said best day of the week tomorrow, so good stuff, man. I'm glad you said hey, and I'm glad you stopped back by. It was cool. It was
yeah.
cool seeing people.
I was this one football game I was at. I think it was last year, or the year before, and somebody had taken a picture of me. And they might be watching right now, but somebody took a picture of me from behind, sitting in the stands, football game, and they tagged me on Twitter, and they were just like, "This guy's just reporting news out here." I was like, so I stood up, I looked behind me, and then they just like waved their hand. I was like, "Oh, there they are." I went up there, I met them real quick. But that's probably like some of the coolest things that happen to us is like we'll just be somewhere and somebody will be like, "Hey, it's High Top," or
Yeah,
they'll like take a picture of you and tag you or something like that. It's funny.
I haven't had that happen, but yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, boys, let's get into the show here and start talking some ball, boys, as we get back into spring practice. But the first order of business is Paul Finebaum never seems to, where is it? Never seems to leave our sites, and we always find a way to talk about him. He does a good job with that. I'm gonna play the clip. The clip is incredible, and shout out to Dave. He wrote an article today about it and posted the clip, so I was able to find it so easily. But Paul Finebaum was on the Andy Staples and Ari show. I don't want to spoil it, but shout out to Andy and Ari. And then look, I already know you guys. I already see you guys in the comments. Like you just Paul's
Hey,
just an
hey,
old guy.
hey, Andy and Ari are my boys, man. They're my
Great.
boys.
We've had him on the show, and I'll play the clip and then I'll talk. I'm rambling too much. Let's play it. You can't hear it. You can't hear
No,
it, can you?
didn't even see it. We're having technical difficulties here. That's okay.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
all right. We probably don't even really care to hear what Finebaum had to
Games
say, but
3
we
through
can hear
4
it.
are this: at LSU, at Miami, Texas at home, at Texas A&M. You are either dead coach walking or a national title contender at the end of that.
I mean, by the way, not even a big statement to say he should lose all 4.
Wow. Really?
I mean,
Well,
okay.
no,
I think I've been drinking a little Kool-Aid locally here. But I was at the LSU and Ole Miss games.
no, that's not right, Paul. They should lose all 4. You mean they should lose to A&M and Miami? I don't know if I would go that far.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying they. Oh, I really don't think that's a big statement to make.
I love that Ari came in and just like, whoa, that's a whole. Paul ate his tongue a little bit. Wasn't expecting him to kind of. Andy was, I would say, going the political proper way of like, well, hey, maybe, and I've done this before. And here's my other part I was gonna say. Andy's been on the show. Andy, when we had him on the show, was a little more reserved. We had Andy on the show at the time that Billy's seat was as hot as it could possibly be, and Andy was very adamant that Billy would not be here. As many were. Like, this isn't like Andy was hearing a lot that we were hearing. We were almost certain.
They had an ESPN alert about the buyout.
Yeah. Anyways, though, not to go down memory lane or anything, but just kind of like to give you, Andy's not, I would say, like a Disney Gator. He's very reserved. He's obviously Gator alum, but he's talked about that. So, but there is a lot of hype, right? And I love how Ari obviously calls him out too and says, like, again, A&M and Miami. I think Miami has more. I have scare for that game, but 3 out of those 4 teams aren't returning a starter. A&M isn't. Miami isn't. Texas is not. Arch Manning is not a returning starter. And LSU, who Florida beat last year with a lesser talented team. Now, it was at home, but they beat them with a less talented team and with less arsenal. So, look, I think that's where the conversation probably was going to head next. And I think we do this all the time, but it's in a weird way, for me, we're small media, right? Like this kind of this atmosphere that we're living in. And obviously ESPN, which is like that bigger media. They are really clamoring to try to figure out how to tap into this market. And I think this is their only way to get there because they can't relate. And this is what I was telling you at the beginning of the show. I realized pretty quickly because of how much I know about Florida football, and it's because of how invested we are, that our opinions are respected and appreciated more than someone else, an outsider looking in on Florida football. Could mine be a little biased? For sure. But if you think Paul Finebaum has a pulse on Gator Nation right now, you're out of your dang mind. There is not a chance this guy's got a pulse. And I was saying before the show, I go, look, the only person I would say in that big media world would be like a Josh Pate, who goes around, interviews, talks to the coaches, truly puts his hand in the dirt to get a feel. And then he uses his knowledge plus his own perspective. These guys are just, Paul's working 10 to 3 at best. He's just a puppet that they shuffle around. And because of the name, for some reason, continues to carry. Look, we're talking about it. So that's where it is. And ESPN and these guys have really gotten bad. And look, I'm complaining and being critical of it, but I am pumping it, talking about it. But yeah.
Shelton, I'm so proud of you. You're starting to realize it now.
Yeah,
You're starting to realize the national media. How do you confuse that against smaller media? I'm loving it. But yeah, like the thing about it is like Florida. The wording is what really bugged me, and that's why I wrote the article. It's like if he would have said Florida could lose all 4 games, I'd have been okay with that because you can lose any game, you can win any game, cool. But he said should, as in like he had no pulse on the team. Didn't know who was returning. Didn't know that we had a first-team All-American offensive lineman coming back, our sack leader coming back, a lot of defensive linemen, offensive linemen coming back. A lot of them stayed instead of going to the NFL. I'm pretty sure NIL was involved in it. And then I had a comment from like a Miami fan that says, "Oh, we're 4 deep on or we're 7 deep with 4-star receivers. And I'm like, yeah, like we're not 7 deep with 4 and 5-star receivers either. Like,
Yeah. I would
like,
take our wide
do you
receiver
guys
room any
even
day of the
do
week.
like? Does anybody do any research now? Look, what Florida could go in there and lose all 4, right? Whatever. But like, for you to say should lose all 4, like that's a little bit sus. Just cause the fact of like, if you had knowledge of like any of the SEC teams or any of the football teams and who's returning, who's not, you would never say that Florida would lose all 4 of those games anyway. Maybe they win 2, maybe they win 3, maybe they win all 4, maybe they win 1. But for you to say that they're going to lose all 4, it's a little crazy.
What you're missing is that Paul is an expert on football. I'm being trolled here. Look, I'm not saying the guy doesn't know ball. Like obviously he's been around and talked about the game, but to sit here and just this is an outrageous comment.
Paul Finebaum is an expert on Alabama football. That's about it.
Yeah. And look, I agree with you. I think it was the way that he approached it. It was a very egotistical approach of like, this isn't a bad take at all. Like he should lose all 4. And again, I think that is just, it's a lazy take. I wish Ari or Andy, maybe they did it later on. I was like, well, explain why. Tell me why you think they'll lose. They should lose all 4 with no question. Like, oh, I'm trolling. Okay. Why they should lose all 4 with no question. Like, that's what I would want to know. Explain to me why you think this team's going to beat this team. Is it just because there's more of an agenda, I think, of pushing Napier out and kind of that agenda more than just the fact of like, yeah, well, I believe they match up better here, here, and here, and I think they're going to overcome this, this, and this. I don't know. It gives us something to talk about in March, I guess. So we thank you, Paul, for that. But there's got to be some accountability, man. Like that's where I get irritated. I continue to get irate with this because it's like, look, you see it now we were talking about some of the trolling accounts that are starting to get viral. Like those are starting to be more popular and successful because those takes, what they say are egregious and nowhere close to true, but they at least carry that as like, this is who we're supposed to be. I got ESPN and Paul Finebaum trying to represent themselves as true legitimacy, but also with the same egregious takes as the troll accounts. Like what? That's where the paradox is.
A lot of those like big media folks too. Like, look, I'm guilty of it too because I like to make fun of them when they make these egregious takes. Is the fact they'll make those just so people are talking about them, just so they get their name out there, and that's why they do that. And we all do it. I mean, I do it too. Look at the Mark Long. DJ Lagway's arm it's very fishy, and they say all this wild stuff. Matt Baker does it too. Says all this wild negative stuff just so fans will get all riled up and start talking about him. It's just I'm not that type of guy to do that. I could really care less if, about that kind of stuff. And you watch the show, you don't watch it, it's cool, whatever. But like, there's got to be some sort of like accountability when it comes to like, I guess, actual good reporting. And there's good reporters out there. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say that every one of them does that. But man, the vast majority of those people, that they do that all the time. And literally, Dave does a good job of not giving him any attention, but this Dave doesn't because I like to, I'm a comedian.
You know how like if you say something wrong or if you say, I got banned off Twitter, and we got Eric Fawcett here. We'll get with him in just a moment. Our basketball insider, super pumped to have this conversation. We get banned off Twitter. Like I made a joke talking about, I hope you choke on your sandwich, jokingly to Big Cat because he took, I think, somebody early on in the year over Florida, and I think he took Kentucky over the basketball, which he was right on that. But I was joking, like, to eat it. And I got banned, right? Because I overstepped. I overstepped my shot. Danny Cannell, Bud Elliott, these guys with egregious. We need some suspensions, Elon. Okay, we can't continue to go with these hot takes. Real Arm Sniper says ESPN has a huge fan base and his comments generate clicks. I get it too. The boys look, the Gators eat. They love it.
That's what I'm saying. That comment right there. That's exactly why I said what I said before of it. But like, yeah, that's those wild takes and stuff like that. I mean, look, we're talking about it on our show, right? Yeah. Think how many other people right now.
Yeah, we're dying.
There he is,
Eric Fawcett, my man, not related to Hayes Fawcett. Just so everyone's clear.
That is correct. I've got asked about that a few times, and no, I do not have college football recruiting scoops for you, unfortunately. But I didn't know there's that many Fawcett's out there. But yeah, apparently a couple.
I think that's why the correlation is drawn because there isn't many.
was gonna say, man,
Yeah.
no graphic design skills.
Yeah, no, I'll leave that to the professionals for sure.
I love it. Well, Eric, man, we're excited to talk some Gator ball. I know you, Dave was telling me, man, just super dialed in when it comes to basketball, extremely knowledgeable. We're still trying to get Dave on the understanding of what a field goal is versus a free throw. But listen, that's baby steps, man, baby steps. Super excited to have somebody with look, Dave and I, we're struggling when we talk about it. Somebody who knows what they're talking about going into Maryland tomorrow for Sweet 16. I want to get your thoughts and opinions, man. How are you feeling? You obviously watched this team all year long. Sunday was cardiac arrest, boys. But how are you feeling going into this game tomorrow and throughout this tournament?
Yeah, I would say I have a fairly healthy respect for Maryland for a number of reasons, both with the talent on the roster, as well as the fact that they're one of the teams that's been playing their best recently. And
Mm,
I think for some people, especially with college basketball being such a long season, I mean, the fact that this kicked off the second week in November, and we still have basketball going on. I mean, it's such a long season, and I do think there is a lot to people, especially when picking out their brackets, picking winners now, looking at the teams that are playing their best basketball right now. Of course, one of the teams that has benefited and came into the tournament playing really, really hot was Florida. And that was the reason a lot of people think they're going to win a national championship. One of the other teams that's been playing their best basketball right now has been Maryland. And I think through the first two rounds of the NCAA tournament, they had a little bit of a scare. They had to win at the buzzer against Colorado State, which I know some people might be like, oh, they struggled with Colorado State. Well, Colorado State is another team that's been absolutely surging, wasn't going to be in the tournament if they didn't win the Mountain West, a really good league, and they rolled through it in the tournament, won the automatic bid, and pushed Maryland. But I think with Maryland, they do a lot right on both sides of the ball. But I think from a Florida standpoint, what people are going to be a little bit concerned with, and what's going to be a major matchup is the fact that when Florida's had success this year, a lot of it has been due to their front court, particularly the depth of their front court, just completely overwhelming teams with size and energy from their post players. And Maryland is one of the teams that has two players in the front court in Derek Queen, who's a 5-star recruit, one and done, going to be an NBA player, and Julian Reese, who's a veteran in college. He's the brother of Angel Reese, who a lot of people will know that name. Two guys that have size, physicality, skill. It is one of the few front courts in college basketball that can really play with the Gators.
mm.
And I think that's going to make for a really interesting matchup.
This is this is a treat. You're dialed in. I
Told
love
you.
it. Yeah, Dave did not disappoint. This is look. I'm excited. All right. So from a fan perspective, I think a lot. Me personally, right? Like I always try to view it from that like fanatics side. UConn was a team that I was afraid to play because obviously of Hurley, the experience, two-time national champion. You've got just a well-coached team, and I felt that UConn, they have a talent. I don't think they lived up to what Florida has. Florida is extremely deep, like you were talking about, but really well coached. And I felt like UConn was just dragging and doing everything which way they could to overthrow Florida, which I liked. I think that was great. Do you agree with that? Was my first part. And second part, I think what you're saying is Maryland has the front court to keep up that maybe UConn didn't. And so will they have that coaching power to also double down on that? Is that where maybe us Florida fans should be? We're probably overlooking Maryland because of what we just went through, but you're saying, hey, let's bite the bullet a little bit.
So some people have been pushing back on this because I've said it a couple of times, and I will maintain it. I don't think UConn is very talented, and
Okay.
again, a lot of people will point out that their whole team is largely top 100 recruits, which I know that football guys like yourselves will often talk about talent composites. And when you look at recruiting rankings, I do feel like that does a pretty good job of accurately depicting who are the more talented teams in college football. It's just not the case in basketball. And I mean, the same people that will always point out that people that on the basketball side, people suck at ranking recruits. Those are the same people that are like, oh no, Eric, you're wrong. Look, these guys are all top 100 recruits. So if you want to look at the talent composite, then yeah, UConn has good players. I just don't see it. And again, I think when you watch that game, Florida was the faster, more skilled, bigger, more physical team. And I think that they were coached incredibly, like you mentioned. And I think the fact that they were able to really slow the game down and make it a half court game, which is not Florida's game. They want to get up and down. They want to get defensive rebounds and run. And it's a lot easier to slow a fast team down than it is to speed up a slow team. And I think this this game was really played at UConn's pace. And Dan Hurley had one quote. I forget who was doing sideline, but she got a quote from Hurley who said, "Hey, we dragged Florida into a Big East game," and that's really what this felt like. So again, I think that UConn plays super connected, plays super smart, plays a great style, and yeah, their coach is really good. Their coaching, they have two of the best assistant coaches in the country running things too. So then you go to Maryland, who kind of ironically, if anyone wants to look this up, there's been some hilarious moments in press conferences. Kevin Willard is the Maryland coach. He is heavily rumored to be taking the Villanova job whenever this finishes for Maryland. And he is giving some hilarious non-answers in press conferences. I mean, I'm not here to like say whether or not he's going to be distracted, but he is a coach that's very much in the old school mode. If he's going to be a little sour towards media, he's not going to give you many answers. But when it comes to how his teams play, I would say they play rather vanilla, but they do what they do extremely well. Yeah. Another thing that's very old school, and you guys might have even heard this nickname of the starting five for Maryland, the Crab Five. Yeah. It's a great nickname, and it's really important too because they only really play five guys. Their sixth and seventh guys who maybe get in the game will maybe play 7 or 8 minutes. They have 5 players that they stick to, which is again very like old school. These are our guys. But unlike UConn, who I don't love their talent, I really like the talent on Maryland. I talked about Derek Queen, who's a lottery pick type guy, Julian Reese, who's as good a front court player as there is in the country, scoring on the low block. Jacoby Gillespie, the point guard from Maryland, came from in the portal from Belmont. He was actually a player the Gators had a lot of interest in, and there was definitely a world where Walter Clayton is not playing point guard. He's playing shooting guard next to Jacoby Gillespie. Someone who is shooting the ball incredibly and is much more of a distributor and a passer. And then they have 2 just dead-eye 3-point shooters with Rodney Rice and Selton Miguel. So the pieces just fit super well. Again, for Maryland, they have these 2 really dominant front court players. One is a back to the basket guy, throw up the hook shot. The other is a face up guy. If you saw that buzzer beater, that's Derek Queen. He likes to face up and dribble other post players down. And then they have 3 elite 3-point shooters that surround those guys. So the pieces just really fit. And I do think that just the talent level is going to be a little bit different. Though I don't think Kevin Willard is someone who is going to cook up a scheme that could really bother the Gators in the same way that Dan Hurley did with UConn.
2 things. Was it a travel? I don't think so. I don't think so.
I mean, the way that the game has been officiated for the last 20 years, it's not.
Hard.
I mean, like,
yeah, that's
sure,
what I felt.
Are you also going to start counting 3 in the key? I mean, Florida's got a guy that's parked in the lane at all possessions. See, everyone's seen that how Florida's centers will seal guys on the rim while Walter Clayton and Will Richard go and get layups. I mean, no one's counting 3 seconds in the key there. So yeah, if you want to get by the rule book, like, yeah, it's 100% a travel. If you want to talk about the culture of basketball and the way it's officiated, no. And it's like, would you really like to see that buzzer beater wiped off the board? Like,
no,
I don't think so. That's basketball right now.
I think again the pickup of like when that happens, like that is again the new culture of like, no, it's the pickup dribble. Like that's not the first step anymore. That's how I looked at it because of that evolution of the culture. Yeah, I love it. I agree. Why would you want a travel call there? We would have been in shambles if you called a travel because that's happened the entire game. We just saw it in slow-mo 90 million times. You're like, wait a minute, that looks like a travel. It's been going on. They're carrying it down the court, guys. Okay? This right here, they're carrying it down the court.
Yeah, that's it too. Something you could call every possession.
Oh, it's brutal. I remember playing pickup basketball and cats are calling me on camera. I'm like, what are we talking? What are we doing? I'm gonna argue the white kid in the court? No, but I'm carrying. But I see it now. I'm like, I used to get murdered for that.
No kidding. Yeah, and again, it's if the discussion could be like, hey, should this be a travel moving forward? But again, when that hasn't been called all season long, that would be quite the spot to make a big call from the official there. So even then, I feel like even if that's happened to say the Gators, you'd have to be like, well, that hasn't been called a travel in 20 years, so you probably can't expect it now. Even though, like, yeah, by the books, it's like, yeah, the gather step assists in the NBA, and no other rule book in the world. It's not in the FIBA world rule book. It's not in the college basketball. People keep saying the gather step. That is not in the college basketball rule book. So, but again, you're getting into these semantics of what's technically in the rule book versus the way that the game is functionally played and officiated.
I told you Eric knows his stuff. I'm telling you.
I love it. This is cool, man. This is really cool. Go ahead, Dave.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, as a non-basketball watcher, obviously, I've watched UConn game and everything else. I'm not trying to go back to that, but you know, I noticed, and I watched Florida a lot. I've watched them this season a lot because they've been good, and everybody's like, "Hey, you should be watching the basketball team right now." So I've been doing that. But I noticed they're really good at rebounding the ball. UConn rebounded the ball way better than Florida did that game too. I think that's what really hurt them in the scoreboard as well. Do you see maybe some sort of matchup like that against Maryland? Are they a better rebounding team than Florida or not? Or do you think that, Florida will be able to get more of those, maybe the offensive rebounds, maybe score a little bit more
Second
points
point
on the
possession, boys. Yeah.
Yeah, so on one hand, I mean, you look at some of those offensive rebounds that UConn got. It wasn't as much a matter of them being bigger or athletic, and it's not like they were like skying above the pack to take rebounds away from the Gators. They got the Gators scrambled and out of position. When you're out of position, it's tough to find your box outs and get rebounds. So Maryland hasn't been a tremendous rebounding team. They are a little small on the way. They do have the two bigger front court players I mentioned, but it's not like they have size up and down their lineup. And one thing that they do that's a little bit different and also again somewhat old school when talking about the coaching of Kevin Willard is they don't really offensive rebound despite having two big guys. So if you can picture this, so a shot is going up. You kind of as a team that has shot the ball, you kind of have two options. Again, you can there's a spectrum here you can go between. But you can either send guys to the glass and try to get offensive rebound, but then if you don't get the offensive rebound, you're not in good position in transition defense. And Maryland has kind of punted on offensive rebounding, where when a shot goes up, they just start to backpedal and set their defense. So it's one of the things that's kind of strange because most teams that would play two bigs are trying to really hammer the offensive glass, such as Florida. But Maryland is they kind of play the other way and are quite conservative with it. So that's one thing, is that Florida's defensive rebounding. I bet you're going to be watching and you're like, man, Florida's getting every defensive rebound, and they probably will be. On the other end, Florida does have a little bit more length, and really that's where Florida's been at their best, which is kind of interesting because Florida's defensive rebounding all year has just been okay, but then they've just hammered people on the offensive glass, and I would suggest that probably continues. But again, Maryland's defensive scheme as well is just so very conservative that they don't really get scrambled. So again, they're not going to gamble for steals and get out of rotation, but they're also not particularly disruptive. And but the one benefit of that as well is that when you kind of keep your shape and keep your structure defensively, when a shot goes up, they're in pretty good defensive rebounding position. But at the same time, I mean, with Florida's length, and there's been a lot of good defensive rebounding teams that they've still hammered on the offensive glass. So I'm not at a place where I'd ever say that Florida is not going to have a big offensive rebounding game. They've had big offensive rebounding games against just about everyone.
It's cool to.
I need to listen to Eric more. That way I learn more about basketball.
Yeah, it's cool to hear you say these things because, again, as a fan, like I watch it and I feel what you're saying. So with the UConn game, it felt like they were beating us, but I was like, they're not more talented. Like, we're not getting just beat by an individual. Like, we just felt like we were in the wrong place, wrong time, right? And you spoke to that of them being able to rebound, and that's what it felt like. It's like, and I felt like I was like, there's no guy that's beating our guy individually. Like, they're just getting. They had the guy that can gotta get hot, shoot some threes. They got him the ball well. They were trapping Walter very well. So going into this Maryland game, I felt really confident because this Maryland team, I've obviously just watched the last couple of games. I go, look, they have a nice, sound basketball team, and I feel like they're going to try to play just up to their talent, and that's where I feel like that's where Florida thrives. Like, Florida is a more talented team. I don't think they're going to play a team that's now maybe Duke and those other guys will be able to throw a little bit more, but as well coached as this UConn team was, that had them in such a blender. And that's why I was happy for it, because they got tested in a different chess piece mindset that they hadn't had to, right? They just been playing a bunch of talented teams all year. And sometimes you can kind of get away from that. And that's what UConn was able to win the last 2 years, because they had talent plus the just being well coached. So I still feel confident, but I will say something that Florida has struggled, that I think they figured out with Mizzou in the SEC championship, is the big guy kind of pick and roll movement. And it sounds like Maryland has used Queen and Reese's brother in that. From what you're telling me, that's why I think they're going to maybe try to capitalize on. I'm glad Mizzou bullied us earlier in the year, and they try to bully us in the SEC championship with that same type of play. Am I on the right path here, Eric, or am I just spitballing nonsense? You can yell at me at any moment.
No, it's good, and I love to hear the basketball takes of guys that maybe aren't self-professed huge basketball fans. But
I'm a
again,
big basketball fan. I watch a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
basketball. Don't put me in the Dave category. I am far removed
Yeah.
from Dave.
Okay.
I'm way more versed in basketball to
He
understand.
is.
I liked hearing you talk about like understanding, like, hey, the school and the schemes. I don't know that part of it. I just know from playing it myself and watching tons of it. Like, I'm a big Heat guy, so when LeBron was in Miami, like I consumed ball like at a gross level. And again, I don't know it, but I just know it from a fan. Like, you learn just how different people work, and this is why the tournament scares me, because it's matchups. Like, Florida could be great in everything, but it's weird. But it's like playing ping pong. I'm better than most people, but if you got a weird thing about your game that I can't figure out, you can destroy me if you can capitalize on that. Same thing goes with basketball.
Yeah, and that's something that I think Maryland does super well. And again, I hate to just come on here and throw a bunch of advanced stats and stuff that I'm hopefully not going to lose people with. But when you look at like what basketball is right now, like most of the game is the pick and roll. That's something that even Dave, you know what a pick and roll is. Everyone's going to even know what that is if they
Yes.
have any basketball understanding. And that is such a big part of the game. If you just look at the advanced metrics, one of the best, or the best defensive pick and roll, or the best pick and roll defense in the tournament is Duke. Makes sense. One of the best teams in the country. The second best is Maryland. On offense, who is the best pick and roll offensive team in the tournament by the metrics? It's Duke. They're the best team, in one of the best teams in the tournament. Who's the second best? It's Maryland.
Oh.
So I think when you look at Maryland, some of these advanced numbers, it's just like Maryland is good at the stuff that happens the most. And I think that going back to what you're saying, and what's going to be kind of the biggest concern, and I actually really saw what Missouri did to the Gators in the regular season when Missouri beat Florida, is again they slowed it down and made it a half court game, and then again really picked on Florida's pick and roll defense. And Missouri has a lot of size in the front court, not as much versatility and nimbleness in the front court as like a Florida, but they do have like the pure size, and that was something that gave the Gators issues. And that's something that I do look at this game, and that's going to be something Florida has to be awfully concerned about. And this is kind of where it goes to when you were talking about the difference between a Dan Hurley and a Kevin Willard, is like when going into the UConn game, I could not tell you what UConn was going to try to do to the Gators, because they have the deepest playbook of any team in the country, and they run more stuff than everyone. And you actually saw that's why Florida just chose to switch everything defensively and just try to keep everything in front, and just hope for the best. And UConn missed a lot of shots, and it worked. So that was good. Whereas, like, I couldn't tell you what UConn was going to do. Their playbook's too deep. I can tell you exactly what Maryland's going to do. They're going to put the ball in Jacoby Gillespie's hands. They're going to put Derek Queen in a ball screen, and they're going to try to short roll Derek Queen so that he catches the ball around the free throw line and he can face up and try to dribble. And while that's happening, it's going to be spaced around with all these 3-point shooters, and Florida's going to have to make the decision of, do they help on Julian Reese and Derek Queen face up drives and risk giving up threes, or do they trust their bigs to play one-on-one? And that's one of the things where there's no deception to how Maryland plays. And I don't even necessarily say that as a slight. They've gotten to the point they do because they know exactly what they do, and they do it really well. But it's just such a different preparation from Florida, where I think Maryland again just does stuff very vanilla, and they do it super, super well. Whereas UConn doesn't do anything super well because they're not super talented, but there's just so much deception to it. So if you're looking for, maybe a positive thing from the Gators, okay, so maybe that style of a half court game with a whole lot of deception didn't work super well. That UConn game is pretty close for comfort. Playing a game where it's like strength on strength, you might like Florida.
And look, the Mizzou game in the SEC championship, what I noticed is they went to more zone, and that's what allowed for them to be able to move off the bigs and into the shooters. And so, that's what gives me confidence. Now, again, I would imagine from what you're telling me, Maryland's much better at that pick and roll and getting it to their big guy, and much more fluent because, like you said, it's no secret what's coming. They're just that good at it. but that's why I also then feel confident in just the talent and the guys and the depth for us to stay fresh. I think that's what's going to allow us to give us the edge. This has been awesome. I loved getting this perspective. Last couple of things, and then we'll let you go, man, because this has been great. Maryland, and then it could be Arkansas, which is really hot right now, or Texas Tech, which is, I would say, the sleeper of the tournament, to be honest with you. How do you feel? We all felt as fans, UConn was going to be the hardest challenge just because obviously it carries a little more sexiness in the logo, right? What do you feel their Florida's biggest challenge could remain, or is it just it's going to change from each game because of what's at stake?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I think that Maryland's I was going to say will be. I think that in the Maryland matchup versus the hypothetical Texas Tech matchup, I think that Maryland's the better team. I think Maryland is
Okay.
Again, both maybe a better team and also a tougher matchup for the Gators. So
Okay.
if Florida were to get by Maryland and play Texas Tech or Arkansas, I mean, Arkansas is playing a lot better basketball than when Florida played them at the beginning of the SEC season, but Florida handled them with relative ease. And well, it'll be really interesting to see what happens between Arkansas and Texas Tech. But Texas Tech is a team that plays really up tempo. Their offense is fantastic. They have one of the best players in the country in JT Toppin, who's again kind of another like face up 6'9" big, kind of like Derek Queen in a way, but a lot more skilled and less brute force. But then outside of that, it's a pretty small lineup everywhere.
Yeah.
They're quite undersized. Florida would just feel great in the front court. Outside of that, I feel like they don't have a guard that is very good defensively that would be able to take out a Walter Clayton Jr. So I feel like it's maybe bad juju here to call any matchup with the Gator or that the Gators could have as an easy one. But just to be honest with you, I think there's a chance that this Sweet 16 game with Maryland is more difficult than the Elite 8 game they would face, whether that's Texas Tech or in Arkansas.
So you're saying championship if they get past the crab 5. That's your words. You're saying lock it in April 7th will be there. No, look, that's the look.
Hey, well, I might go as far as like, hey, if you're if you think you can make it out to San Antonio for the Final Four, maybe that's like maybe after the Maryland game, that's where you can put your deposit down on the hotel or start looking at flights and that kind of thing. But that's Final Four at least, not quite championship.
Yeah, because you Michigan State or Auburn
course,
is what we're looking like, or Michigan's in the mix, and so is Ole Miss, right? Yeah, so a couple of teams up there. But look, this is awesome. Dave, go ahead.
No, it's just weird because there's surprisingly so many SEC teams still left, and I'm not used to seeing that.
That's
It's usually teams outside of the SEC really do really well in basketball, I noticed. But like this year, it's like how many are in there now? 6, 7,
Seven.
Still?
I think 7.
Wow.
7 are left. Which again,
SEC
I mean,
madness,
if you
boys.
look 3 or 4 years ago, would have been. The SEC was getting like 5 or 6 or 7 teams just in the tournament.
Yeah.
And 7 would be, if the SEC got 7 in the tournament, that would be considered a great year for the league. And now there's 7 in the Sweet 16. And I think that speaks to the change of things in college basketball. And I mean, this is no surprise. This is no flash in the pan. This is going to be how things look moving forward. And I think you even look at this. Obviously, Texas ended up making the tournament, but that's a program that's been in not a very good spot, and they just made a coaching change. And I think that they're going to be the power they once were. So I actually see the SEC getting a little bit stronger even than what it was this year, which might seem crazy, but a lot of the programs at the top, I don't really see taking a step back. And some of these teams at the bottom of the league, such as a Texas, such as an LSU, like, there's teams that have historically been stronger that were weaker this year. So yeah, we know what sport comes first in this conference, like make no mistake about it. But I think we could see a point where maybe it doesn't take until the Sweet 16 for you guys to start talking about it, and hopefully it gives people some more things. Maybe people can start tuning in a little bit earlier than March and just have something more that they can enjoy.
Hey, we've been talking about it all season, Eric. Not Dave, but
I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, we've been down.
Dave, you're just getting called out repeatedly here.
No, I got to keep him in check. He knows. He knows. I didn't want to. Yeah, he's trying to fit the crowd.
Hey.
We did shows out there every Saturday where we broke down the games, give our thoughts and opinions about it. We had to wait till January ended because obviously playoffs and
Of
whatnot. But
course.
we've been dialed
Hey,
in. We've been dialed in. here.
Shelton, give me a few years and I'll be on Fawcett's level. Okay, just give
I
me a
don't know
few
about
years.
that. Ladies and gentlemen, Eric Fawcett from Gator Country, not related to Hayes Fawcett by any stretch, but incredible, dude. This was awesome. We'd love to have you back on, especially if we make a big run. Like we said, we might have to have you give us a full rundown of what to expect for the next couple of games for Florida. So
Yeah.
if you've got time, we love. This was awesome. I love talking to you, man. That was fun.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. And again, this is my 7th year writing about the Gators, and like I'll just be honest with you, there's a lot of lean years in that 7, and there's been nothing even close to this in terms of capturing a lot of the casual Florida basketball fans. So it's been great to be on more shows like this and talk to more people that are just really truthfully excited about this team for the first time since, I mean, I said 7 years since I started. Before that was the Elite 8 run in Mike White's 2nd year, but even then it kind of felt like that team didn't have anywhere near the momentum that this one did. So I mean, really, there was the 2014 Final Four, and I think a lot of people have been not paying too much attention to basketball since, and now it is totally back. And not just is Florida doing really well and a team that a lot of people picked to win the national championship, but also one that plays a style that people really love. And I think that's the other thing that differentiates this from the Mike White team that made the Elite 8 is that was a grit and grind. You know, that was the 3 yards in a cloud of dust equivalent to basketball. And now we've got Walter Clayton just shaking guys off and hitting step back threes and electrifying the crowd. And it's been a great way to grow the sport. Not that, I mean, again, Florida obviously has 2 national championships this millennia in college basketball. There's basketball history here, but it feels like the last decade has been a little quiet, and maybe this is the start of really bringing it back.
In football terms, we're one of 5 Y boys, West Coast offense. This Florida team, it is sexy to watch, to say the least. Eric, tell them they give you a 5, man, where they can read some more stuff on that Gator basketball while the boys stay hot.
Yeah, so Gator Country is where you can find all my writing. I also have a podcast with Neil Blackman from Saturday Down South called Florida Basketball Hour. There's a Patreon as well if you want a ton more content. And that's you might find me on a couple of these other podcasts around the Gator sports world too. But looking forward to meeting a bunch of new fans.
Awesome. You can be the spring game, Eric?
That's no, unfortunately, will not be there.
Okay.
Not local. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Eric, man, it's been a pleasure, man. Thank you so much. We'd love to have you back on. Shout out. Hey, look, Dave doesn't know ball, but he knows the right people. So we love him for that.
I know the right people. Hey,
We love him
man,
for that.
we had Eric on when I was over at Gator Country. We had Eric on a couple of shows, and I was like, hey, this is a perfect guy if you want to talk hoops because he knows everything.
You guys are too kind. Well, enjoy the game tomorrow.
We hope so. Let him in.
Oh,
Nothing like said that. Boys and girls, Eric Fawcett with Gator Country. Fantastic stuff, man. Great show. A lot of information. Eric is dialed in.
Told you, man.
Awesome.
He's like
I
the
love that
basketball encyclopedia.
Yeah, man.
Any basketball questions?
Spoke
hit
very
him up.
well too. Just kind of knew his way around a mic, which is always really cool. So love that about it. Boys and girls, real quick, let's give a huge shout out to today's sponsor, Rocket Money. The start of spring is a perfect time to get organized. For me, a top priority is my financial wellness, which feels more important than ever. Thanks to Rocket Money, my goals feel achievable. They show me all my subscriptions, got right one place, and help me easily cancel ones that I forget I've been paying for. Rocket Money also pulls together all my spending across all my different accounts, so I can clearly track my spending habits and see where I can cut back. What I love even more so, as you can see here in the video next to me, is you can see all of your subscriptions, which is nice, and you can say, have I used this often? Have I used this very lately? No, I haven't. The best part about it, which we all know, canceling subscriptions can be an absolute hassle. It can be a pain in the booty. You can cancel it from the app. They'll handle it for you. It's literally like a little personal assistant in your pocket, on top of a financial little accountant in your pocket as well, too. You can set budgets on certain things if you know what's coming in, how much needs to go out, and where it should be going. Help you kind of manage that financial wellness. Again, it's spring cleaning. Let's go ahead and spring clean our finances a little bit. All right. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/hightopsports today in the links in the description below. That is rocketmoney.com/hightopsports, rocketmoney.com/hightopsports, boys and girls. I love it. I love it a lot, boys. We're saving money, saving lives. You feel me?
Yeah, let me give a little shout out here to Alma Mater. Got this little bad boy NIL shop. Check it out.
The boys out there cooking. Listen, huge shout out to my man Brian Almar. Now, not only a phenomenal human being, we obviously had a show there last year for the kickoff on Friday. Super hospitality, whatever word I'm trying to use. Just awesome guy all around, and he's also doing a dono for $100 gift card for the winner of March Madness, which is not going to be me because I was in shambles this year. He's going to be also sponsoring our tailgate on April 12th at the Swamp, where we're going to be having a limited drop, which we mentioned on Monday, of this hat alongside this shirt. Look at that. Come on. Get after it. Get after it. There'll be a hat and shirt combo, possibly a koozie as well. Again, limited drop, only available on location. All right. It's not going to be on the internet online, only at the store at Alma Mater, so hooking us up with the print. The hat's going to be the same style, different version of the hat, though. More of a more popular style of hat is what we're going with. Same color shirt, though. All that's going to be exactly the same logo. All that's going to be the same jazz. We're going to be located in the O-Dome parking lot. Shout out to Cam Bishop and his family. They've got season ticket holders, Bull Gators. They've got a great spot, which I love. It's right there. It's not too far from the stadium. It's on the way there, so you can stop by other tailgates if you want to. But we'll be there. Stephen Harris will be there. I think Lewis Murphy may stop by. Don't quote me.
Maybe.
I think they're trying to get Reggie Nelson out of the house. There's a lot. Harris is doing his part on his side of things to get some old players to stop by the tailgate and come hang out with us. And of course, we all know of the FOCO, what we're doing with the overalls. I think we're up to double digits in the overalls, Dave. Those things. Yeah, I think I know you got one, I got one, Cody. We know the Scott's got a couple. I know Sean, he was at the shout out to Sean, he came to the event. He has one, Rook has one. I mean, that's just off my knowledge. I think there's a few more that I haven't seen or heard of yet. So of course we know the drill on that one. FOCO, they're also sponsoring the show. We'll talk about them right now. Links down in the description below. Look, they've got a ton of great stuff outside of just overalls, but what we're trying to do is just have a massive collection of overalls at this game and get a fat photo, which will be incredible. I'm going to use code HIGHTOP15. Using that link in the description, you get 15% off right now, which is awesome. 15% off basically everything except pre-orders or anything that's already discounted, just so you're aware on that one. But your overalls, you can get discounted right now. They got shorts too. I know some people went with the shorts, but I'm rocking the pants overalls. And you can always wear the overalls. Like, don't be embarrassed. You're going to look phenomenal next to all of us. So, links in the description for that one, boys.
I never wear overalls. I'm wearing them. Okay. It's not a big deal. If I can put on my big boy pants, you can too.
Oh, Rookie says, Dad got a pair too. I love it. $10 says, Concrete Albert will be at the spring game. I love it. I can't pull this thing up.
Concrete Albert. Yeah, I saw that. I like that. Yeah, Rook sent that to me. I was like, yeah, can that be a little prop for the little table? Can I have a tailgate?
I love it. Stephen Hawley says that hat, give me Mark still a pass, so no photo for him. Well, Mark's not going to be invited to the tailgate then. Mrs. Scott, you can leave him at home. He's being a baby. He's not welcomed. If he shows up, I will have our bodyguards, aka Stephen Harris, pick him up because I can't pick up Mark because he's a big boy. But Stephen will be able to pick him up, and he's not welcome. He is not welcome. If he's not going to participate, he's not welcomed. I don't want to see him. He called me out and didn't even tag me the other day on Twitter. I don't want him there. Let's talk a little spring ball.
Mark, I need a workout photo with those on, man.
I mean, I don't get it. I don't get it. He'd be a big hit. It's upsetting. Let's talk some spring ball, boys. I mean, we're back in the saddle with some football talk, which fires me up. Spring break is over. I think we got some scrimmages coming up here. Obviously, before the spring game, we usually get about 2, I think, or 3 of those. 2 of them usually. I know we'll get some content from those practices. But look, still no throwing the ball from DJ Lagway. A name that continues to hit the market is Dallas Wilson.
Fishy. I said fishy.
Fishy.
Yeah. DJ Lagway's not throwing the ball, man. It's fishy.
Oh, sorry. Yes, it is fishy. Fishy things going on in the game. What are you talking about, fishy? Yeah, Dallas Wilson, but again, continues to turn heads at camp. Bryce Thornton is back, which I love. Bryce Thornton was one of my standout guys from last year. Obviously, we know he went down with an injury. Hilton Stubbs saw some clips from him. Who else was back? Amir Jackson was back. He was getting back in order coming from his injury. So a lot of positives, seeing some guys get back into a rhythm. Obviously, they've been dealing with some injuries. But all in all, kind of I would say a quiet Tuesday for content wise from spring training. A name, and you'll see in the clip here, Stephon Shivers, Steven Shivers. A lot of clips of him. I think he's garnering a lot of attention just because of his sheer size, kind of like what Big Dez was, but a little more physicality than what Big Dez maybe possessed. I think there's a lot of upside for him. Just you're hearing a lot about him. Stephen Harris is excited about him. We've seen Chapman work with him. I think they see what he's able to do. It's like, look, he has all the intangibles with the size. We need to work on his just technique a little bit because, again, we know of the tackle position. We know with Big Dez leaving, we didn't go and get somebody. I think Stephon Shivers is going to have a big role, kind of like what Dez was 2 years ago. It's like, you're a big body. You have to be utilized. Get in there for a play or two. So they're really working on him to, I think, get him up to speed, which I love seeing.
Yeah, it's crazy how like it, I guess you could say reload from Desmond Watson, but it's like you have a more athletic Desmond Watson out there with Shivers. Obviously not as experienced because he's coming in from high school, but obviously a battle you won with Kirby Smart to get to the University of Florida. So that's another tip of the cap that you can put in for Billy Napier. But just during some of the interviews around just the freshmen have really been impressing me. Not really just physically, just in practice, but you hear some of the coaches talking about how like Aiden Mazzell. Well, I guess Aiden Mazzell's putting on size. I know he's not a freshman, but you got Dallas Wilson, and how he's doing in practice, how he's taking notes and stuff like that, like being very meticulous, showing up on time. You're hearing a lot of great things about Cormani McLean. He was playing with the ones from one of my buddies that he's down there in Gainesville. He got some notes from that.
Yeah.
You're starting to hear where everything's starting to come together. Obviously, we're gonna have to see it when the season becomes. But the running back position, you're gonna obviously. Montrell Johnson's out the door. You've got, Jacoby Jackson and Jake Ball, they're returning. You just got a lot of good players that are experienced, but a lot of the freshmen have been doing some great work out there from what I'm hearing. So, I mean, it seems like everything's coming together. Obviously, the shoulder thing with Lagway, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think they're making a bigger deal out of it than what it really is. Will we see him throw at the spring game? Do we need to see him throw at the spring game? Because we've seen him throw in action obviously in the season, but at the same time, you look at it and you're just like, they were talking about this in Gators Breakdown chat. Dude says, look, does he need those spring reps? But do you really? I mean, you play Long Island University, you play USF, your first 2 games. I mean, will that be enough for Lagway to get acclimated with some of the receivers? Will he throw in summer? Will he throw in fall? We don't know that. But the thing is I think a lot of people are a little bit worried about the Lagway and the shoulder thing, and I just don't think it's that big of a deal.
A lot of people are asking in the comments, and even now, will he throw at the spring game? I don't think that he will. But you make a good point. This is the first time I keep alluding to this too. But yeah, like you mentioned, the first time we're able to start the first couple of games, kind of with T-ball games, right? So now I don't think you can roll into that game one and have a cohesion with your wide receivers. He's got to throw in the summer for me to feel comfortable going into the season to have success. I believe he's talented. I believe the guys around him are talented, but timing, all those things are very important, especially if our expectations for Florida are to be very high. So again, we don't know exactly how much he is or isn't throwing, right? That's the part that is really left unknown. And you would think with all the secrets that kind of get blown out, if he was throwing, we'd hear about it. But there's kind of a weird radio silence of us hearing of confirmation that he's not throwing either. You know what I mean? Like, my point is, if there's somebody that's there that would break something, they're like, yeah, he really hasn't thrown. Like, I haven't seen him under toss to anybody. I feel like if that were the case, we would get that too. And we're not getting anything. So I think they're doing a good job keeping this thing sealed tight for whatever reason. And look, maybe I don't know. It's a doozy of one for sure. But we forget what we're seeing and what the reporters say, and they'll all tell you they get 15 minutes of fame. And they'll have guys that they're close to and connected to where they're able to have conversations. But at the same time, they may get things that, hey, we've seen DJ throw a few, but we can't talk about it. These reporters aren't going to say that because they've got to keep their – I haven't heard anything. I'm just – look, this is why I like not being connected so we can talk about we can get a tinfoil hat on and talk about what we think we know. When sometimes
obviously, I mean, you just brought in Harrison Bailey and you got in Tramel Jones, and we've seen what Aiden Warner can do, really spin it. But I mean, you've got the backups; they need experience too with some of these wide receivers. So even if it is a backup show at the spring game, I mean, it's fine. We'll see who the better backup is.
So
like,
true.
instead
And
of the
again, what do
3
we
or
keep
4.
saying? If DJ goes down, the whole thing's in shambles. It's like, look, well, we were ticked at Billy last year because
Right.
the third string quarterback wasn't able to come in and lead 4 drives to beat Georgia, the number 2 team in the country. Like, okay, that's a little over the top, but yeah, there is a pro to this. I've been reading my favorite book, reading the second time through, where it's Matthew McConaughey talks about green lights and just got to the end of it. And there's a great analogy where he talks about like green lights is kind of like things that were good news, right? Good things are happening for you. But in life, red lights happen too. And he's like, as I've gotten older, I realized that red light at one time eventually turns green as life goes on. At that point in time, you felt like it was a red light, but because it went red, you were able to do X, Y, and Z. In my eyes, this may be appear to be a red light that DJ isn't throwing, but the green light will happen maybe in 6-7 months from now, where maybe we need someone to step in, and it's like good thing we had this extra practice for these guys to step in and do their thing. Green light. So you're welcome. A little story time there. Dylan Olive, no Dallas Wilson dropped that one pass, so Miami fans have discovered he sucks. I love that.
Oh, no. I don't even want to hear that because JoJo Trader dropped one and they said, oh, it's no big deal. But Dallas Wilson drops one now. It's a big deal. See where I'm going?
I can't get into that. This it's fun, but sometimes it gets exhausting. Jesse Rollins says
that's the thing. It's like receivers are going to drop passes. It's better if they drop passes in practice than they do in the real game. Again, that's me canceling out my troll to Miami fans.
$5 from Jesse says, anyone going to be at the season opener? We're coming down from Tennessee. Much love. Happy best day of the week. That's far away from now, Jesse. I think you're coming from Tennessee, so it's a little bigger of a trip. A lot of us can make kind of a last minute decision. So I haven't.
Oh, home game against Tennessee. That's a guaranteed win. I'm down.
No. The first game, Rhode Island. You're alumni.
Oh, Long Island. Of course, I'll be there. It's Long Island.
Yeah,
Long
Kate will be at
Long Island.
Long Island.
I'm a graduate.
Long Island.
I've been a graduate for the longest time.
$5 from Jonas says, haven't been paying attention as much to football recently. What's up with Lagway not throwing the ball? Oh, Jonas, we can't unpack that. And real quick, I gotta address something. Holly's trying to throw me under the bus here. Says you terrorize an 89-year-old woman in a starter jacket. Give me a hat. First of all, she yelled at me. Okay, I was minding my business, yelling at everyone else but her, and she turned around and told me to sit down, which I respectfully did. And I could have had some words. Secondly, Steve, when you became obnoxious, you fell on top of the lady in front of us. So if we want to take blows, make sure you know what you're standing on before you come swinging, big fella. Okay? Because I didn't terrorize no 89-year-old lady. She was having a bad day.
Wow. An 89-year-old lady? You made an 89-year-old lady yell at you?
Oh, yeah. She turned around. She goes, sit down. This is when we took the lead.
She's probably about to take out like her walking cane and hit you with it, man.
No, she wasn't that old. She's probably like 70. She was old. She was young enough to yell at me. So
she's probably watching the show, making sure you made it back.
Listen, I stand by my actions. I have been more obnoxious and been more rude in other scenarios. I didn't say a single cuss word. I didn't say anything egregious. All I did was mock their tomahawk chop, which is rightfully so. I was probably loud because I couldn't. I mean, all I heard all night was the tomahawk in my ear. But it was fun. I mean, we just went up 4-3 in the top of the ninth. Like I had I would do it again.
If she's watching, he doesn't respect his elders. I mean, look at me.
No, I do. I sat down. When she told me to sit down, I sat down.
Sit down, son.
And the FSU fans gave me crap for not giving her crap. They're like, you should have jumped back. I'm like, she's good. An FSU kid came up to me and it called me. He was making fun of me. He called me a pedophile for being a Gator fan. I was like, what is going on here? I was being attacked in every which direction. It was unbelievable.
It's a little awkward.
I was like, what? Look, I love it. I love the chirping. But I was like, I wasn't saying anything bad. Look, it's fun. I think it's all in fun of the game. I wouldn't change it for the world. It makes great stories. It
does. I mean, like if you can't handle insults, comedy, all that kind of stuff, then
I didn't even insult him. I just told one guy to dye his beard. It wasn't that big of a deal. I do want to talk about.
I get called names all the time. Okay.
Yeah, it's good. Mike Peterson, shout out to our guy Cam sending us the tidbits with from the coaches. We had Coach Jaluk talk, we had Coach Peterson talk, and Coach Billy Gonzalez talk, which we kind of alluded to some of the things he said about the wide receiver room. But Peterson, which I love, comes out and said, like, hey, we want to be the best in the country. We want to be the best edge group in the country. I want to be the best edge coach in the country. And I think that's a massive statement to come out and say, like, I know it kind of feels like, oh, these coaches just say this all the time. I feel like Mike Peterson, out of all the coaches, has definitely gone under the radar the last couple of years. Out of all the coaches in Florida, we know of Mike Peterson, but have we heard from Mike Peterson? And something that I thought about when I heard him say that, I go, look, man, we've seen Tyreek Sapp. He was obviously on the Stadium and Gale podcast. We had him on our show 2 years ago. The transition that he's made, his devotion to Florida football, his devotion to this team, devotion of staying when he could have left, right? That was a big question mark. I think he's really embodying that we have the ability, we have the talent, we have the resources to be the best. And goes back to when they asked him who's going to be number one, and he kind of said, look, we're not worried about that because the number one, and he saw it, I think, with Justice Boone and Princely, where it took over the individual and it took away from the group and what it could have been. You had two very talented guys that maybe got lost in the sauce. And Sapp's like, I don't want that to happen again. So I think there's a really good vibe happening here. We know with the transition of LJ McCray, and you're thinking, man, you lose out on Jack Piper going to LSU and TJ Searcy. But then the guys coming up, you got Jaden Woods, who's been turning heads. Obviously, Tyreek Sapp, LJ McCray. Cameron James is phenomenal. And then, of course, my guy, George Gums and then Kofi Asari. The names alone excite you, but Kofi and George fit that same mold of just freaks, right? We've heard about the size that Kofi has put on. We know what he was able to do. Had him on the show, favorite player of all time right now. It's one of those guys that I probably, will always appreciate. We'll always have a guy from a class. George is that guy for me right now. But yeah, I love hearing him say it. I love the fact that he comes out and says, like, this is what we want to be. And I know it seems cheesy to say that in March, but for a coach who we haven't heard from come out and say that, I love it. He goes, like, we're carrying every day with that mindset.
Oh, you should hear what they're saying to him in practice, man. If you watch some of those videos where like, hey, that's too soft. You got to keep going. They're cussing at him and stuff. I love it. Give me more of that because, I mean, look, you look at Tyreek Sapp, the leading sack leader last year. We heard him compare LJ McCray to Javon Curse, like in his athleticism and everything like that. Obviously, not much college experience, but you see the potential there. I mean, he's a 5-star. He's a 5-star number one guy for a reason at his position. This edge, I mean, it's just loaded. I mean, you got George Gums, obviously, and like Jaden Woods, you hear about him and what he's been doing in practice. And it's like, yeah, I mean, like we hear a lot of things in practice and like Steve Spurrier said it best, everything's going good. Everybody's undefeated in the off season, but we've actually seen some of these guys in action, and for them to talk about like how much better that they are doing and how much more of a step up that they're having in practice makes you really, really just jonesing to see, especially the first game of the season. Now it's going to be Long Island University. I mean, you should beat that team pretty handedly anyway, but still you'll get a glimpse of that, especially in the spring game there as well. But yeah, man, I'm just really, really pumped. I mean, you hear things about Jalen Wiggins, and he has a high effort, very good intelligence. I mean, we had him on the show too, and he seemed
Great
like
kid.
a straight up a great guy. You never got the sense that Jalen Wiggins was flipping anywhere when he was committed to Florida when he was on our show. And I'm glad that he went and signed and he came to Florida. And those are the types that you want. Obviously, I think he was a top 100 guy as well. I mean, it's just loaded with talent. I mean, the D line is just loaded with talent, and it's got a lot of returners this year. That's one of the positions. I know everybody's looking O-line because of Slaughter and those guys coming back and Austin Barber. But man, this D line is really something that I'm really looking forward to this season.
Yeah, our guy Dylan Olive from Sports Illustrated said he was talking up Woods, Wiggins, and Kofi. Look, Kofi is my new George Gums, kind of the low recruit, has the physical features to carry along with it. Coach well can make a big splash. So I'm really excited about these guys. I think they really recruited well in that edge group. Outside of LJ McCray last year, I can't think of a big edge player they've gotten. So these are two big.
It's always the ones that nobody are really talking about that wind up being like nobody. I won't say that nobody was talking about George Gums a year or two ago, but like
Dave,
Dave, I won't. I think you were, but like I'm just saying, it wasn't like very talked about until he started playing, and then you're starting hearing everybody talk about it.
No, y'all forget.
But I mean, look what he was rated in the portal. He wasn't rated high.
I know you yelled.
That's what I'm trying to say.
You yelled about it. I know.
Oh yeah, I yelled so much. I was so upset.
Listen, I trust my coaches in their evaluation.
Shambles.
I'm not concerned. Rob S says, Sean, is that a purple Stanley cup? Do you have a yoga mat and tights too? Let's see, this is what happens, guys. I'm minding my own business, enjoying the game, and I'm getting chirped at. Like this was last night. Like, and I invite
my wife drinks Stanley.
I appreciate the accountability. And no, I don't have a yoga mat. I do have a blue foam roller though for my lower back. So close. close. I know I don't have tights. I'm actually rocking the Gator shorts today. Look, hold on. These things are absolutely. Look.
Gotta see him. There you go.
Come on, boy. You know your boy dialed in. You know your boy looking good. Stay fresh,
Speaking
baby.
of that,
Stay fresh.
yoga's really good for like if you have back issues and all that other kind of stuff too. So, I ain't got nothing against it.
I don't think he had a problem with yoga. He was just making fun of me. That's all.
Oh, well, my wife drinks Stanley Cups. I don't, so probably yeah. I don't know. What's so
Dylan says I got to
special
go
about
back and
Stanley
look, but I
Cups?
believe I asked Gums how him and Kofi are similar. That's how you're not going to give it anything else, Dylan? That's so close to inside scoop. Cam James, baby. Look, I love Cam James. Cam James, look, there's that edge group was very full last year, but Cam James, watching him play, the way that he runs around the football field, a lot of energy, always hustling. Like I've always enjoyed what he was able to do. I feel like he should love how he comes off the line. I didn't know if it was an endurance thing, but look, Jack Piper playing a lot of great things. There's so much more to the game that we don't know. But Andrew Apple, hey, shout out, man, to Lincoln. Hopefully he's doing well. I know you guys are flying back home. Lincoln just got his trachea, I believe is how it's pronounced, removed. I saw that on Facebook. Showed the wife. We were pumped, man. It's so cool. But it's a gross taste in my mouth, but twice. But I was right about Jack last year.
Oh, about Piper? Like, I mean, like, it's upsetting that he left, but, like, under the circumstances of why he left, I'm just like, yeah, you can go ahead and go then. Like, that's, if not being a team player, you go. Like,
yeah, look, I mean, it is what it is. But, yeah, shout out to Lincoln, boys and girls. Dylan's going to get us the information of what he said. He's scrolling through the email, so we'll wait for Dylan here, boys and girls. But we're about to wrap up the show. Appreciate y'all. This was a great show, as always. Tomorrow we'll be live for the Gators basketball at 7:39, 29. I don't know the deets, but if you want to come hang out and get buck rowdy with it, you know where we'll be. I think I'll be in the back porch because the kid will be asleep. So
if you got to yell, you got to go, yeah.
Yeah, well, no. Well, so now I'm concerned about taking off my neighbor. My back porch kind of like faces his. He's never yelled at me for being loud except like one time, and he was right to do so. It was like I think like 11:30 at night, and I was just jamming out on the guitar because I couldn't play inside because my kid was sleeping. And he like comes out and he goes, Sheldon. I go, yes, Dave, what's up, man? He's like, it's 11:30. Yeah, I know. He goes, the guitar right now? I go, that's on me. He goes, weren't you playing the ukulele last week? I got you, boss. I'm heading inside. So that's the only time he's been rowdy about the noise. So as he should.
So what kind of instruments do you play, man? Like, little harmonica,
What do I play? I mean, I don't play anything. I just attempt to it.
So you just yeah. You act like yeah.
Look, I could strum a little bit. Like I'm not gonna like. I mean, I've practiced. I can do a little bit. I've grown up I played the saxophone, things like that. Dylan said I like Kofi. Came from a 4-down defense to a 3, just like me. So I'm teaching GC, and okay, this is the way. But I feel like he's doing a very good job so far. Okay, you heard it.
Okay.
That's George Gums on Kofi Asari. To sum it up. Thank you, Dylan.
Yeah,
Shout out Dylan, giving us the quote of the day.
Look, this edge position, man. D-line, I'm telling you. They're going to kill it.
All of them, boys. All of them. Hey, good to see y'all as always. Shout out to Rocket Money FOCO. Links in the description for both those. You guys want to check those out. Save yourself some cheddar by using our codes, of course. Shout out to Almater as well. Love those guys there. Got some great gear for Florida right now with the trail that these boys are on. You know what to do, boys. Smash the like button, subscribe. Let's have a fun couple of days. Let's roll into Thursday. Let's roll into Saturday. And let's get into that Final Four. Let's get them boys San Antonio, and let's get after it. I'm Shelton Walker. This is Dave Swolderquist. That caps off another best day of the week. You got to love it. You got to love it. Middle of March, we're out here having a good time. Shout out to Eric Fawcett. Guy knows ball. Guy knows ball.
Made me feel stupid.
Well, that's low bar. Y'all be good, baby. Peace and love.